household. Later, this was taken to mean the larger community. Although there are many versions of Aristotle's political and ethical works based on what sounds like anecdotal proof of a personal preference, this comment seems somewhat overcooked when compared to his more thoughtful treatment of many other social issues. While it is always prudent to suspect that the ideas were annotated or diluted over time, such a long tradition confirms that he was taken literally by succeeding generations. When these questions are raised in a large, dynamic economy, the answer is more comprehensible today than it was 2,000 years ago. Markets currently decide how much interest to charge, and they also determine the price for goods and intangibles alike. If a bank charges an excessive amount for a loan, a borrower will go elsewhere for a better rate. If a good is overpriced, buyers will seek cheaper sellers or alternatives. But if the marketplace is only as large as a medieval city-state, then prices of all sorts of items, from loans to bushels of wheat, may be suspect because there may not be an adequate objective pricing mechanism in place. Then the question revolves around fair price, or in a religious context, just price. Discussions over the centuries were often vague, while others were admirably clear. In matters of usury, the Romans attempted many times to dictate a maximum interest rate, from the 12 Tables to Justinian's Code, assuming that a maximum rate of interest to be charged would be accepted. In matters of price, they were more practical. The sale price of an item was what the parties to the transaction agreed. If the sales contract was free from deceit, the price that was agreed and contracted could not be abrogated, except in one instance that served as a major annoyance for jurisprudence in the later Roman Empire and Middle Ages. That one example, lasio enormis, or the idea of enormous loss, left the door open for considering what medieval churchmen later termed just price. Throughout the long history of determining value or price, law played a major role. The Romans were the most successful in the arduous debate about price and fairness because Roman law did not discuss just price, but only certain price. No provision was made for post-purchase anxiety by a buyer unless dubious circumstances surrounding the sale could be proved. Parties could eventually proceed to a magistrate if a problem occurred, but unless deceit or duplicity could be proved, the deal and its price prevailed. The body of law to which magistrates could refer was full of references to past Roman jurists and their opinions, so that decisions were not simply made ad hoc. The same was true of late medieval Christian courts and papal pronouncements, although their precedents often were comments made by churchmen earlier in the Roman Empire. The thoughts were not developed logically, often they were homilies instead. As with many concepts that survived centuries of discussion and modification, the term law assumed a somewhat ambiguous definition. The Romans used two terms to describe what are known today as laws. The first was lex, literally translated as law. The second was ius, or right. The two became used interchangeably during the following centuries. Lex is best understood as statutory law, while ius has become associated with a blend of law and right. Medieval princes were the embodiment of law, and right within their respective domains. They ruled by ius and passed down lex to their subjects. They stood above the law by virtue of divine right. The practice of seigniorage, or creating new money, was a right of the monarch since he embodied the state. Anyone who violated or encroached on money by alloying it or counterfeiting it broke the law and could be subjected to the harshest penalties because they denied the power of the sovereign in the process. With the law as practical as it could be, no evidence of what today is known as arbitrage, the simultaneous buying and selling of a good at different prices to take advantage of price discrepancies, was found in Roman law. When the term arbitrage emerged in the late 18th and early 19th centuries, it kept this meaning with a dynamic application, a trading decision made by someone who buys and sells foreign exchange, that is, buys and sells one currency for another, leveling price discrepancies between